Sky is so high, if you don't know how to fly, Aimfill is here to make you fly. Sky is so high, if you don't know how to fly, Aimfill is here to make you fly. Here we go.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Can you guys hear me?
Good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, this is Rohit, ma'am.
How are you guys doing today?
I'm not good, ma'am.
What happened?
Ma'am, I have told you, ma'am, last Sunday my auntie has passed away.
We are really sorry to hear about that. Rohit.
Ma'am, I cannot do the class right now because everyone is waiting outside. Ma'am, and I cannot do the class for the next 10 days because we are having some rituals to do.
No problem, no problem. That is
And
fine.
actually, I am the head of the house, so I have to do everything, ma'am. That's why.
Okay, just take care of yourself and take care of your family, and that's fine if you can't attend the class. That's perfectly fine, no problem.
Ma'am, if you just send all the recording to my mail, it will be
Okay, I'll see what I can do for you. I'll do that. Alright, take care of yourself, Rohit.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, how about everyone else? How are you guys doing?
Good morning. What are you doing?
Good, thank you. Switch on your cameras.
Yes.
How are you guys? Everybody switch on the cameras, please. Okay, guys, how are you doing today?
Good morning. Thank you.
I'm good, thank you. Alright, so are you ready for today's class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So what are we supposed to do today?
Ma'am, you tell us some new topic.
I want to talk about turbulence today.
Yeah.
I am going to show you a video also. Okay. So let's just discuss first and then I will show you a video on 9/11. Are you guys ready to, are you really want to watch that video? It's on 9/11, which happened, the aircraft, there were two aircrafts crash in Twin Towers in US. Okay, so I'll show you that video. Before that, we'll just discuss. Do you have any doubts in the previous any topic? So we will discuss that first, and then I'll start with the turbulence. I mean, you guys know what turbulence is, but let's just revise it. Right?
Ma'am, I
Any doubts? Any questions you guys have?
want to ask one.
Yes, Divya.
Ma'am, we talked about phases, that 7 phases, right? In the seventh one, it was like when captain says we switch off, when he switches off the seatbelt, we just get up, we see the what do you call that? The ground staff will attach the ladder on the path. So we have to wait till that. So we do that final destination announcement also. That is done when the plane is already and it's.
As soon as the touchdown happens, and after the touchdown, when the aircraft crosses the active runway and taxiing towards the parking bay,
Yeah.
that time we do the announcements.
Yeah. So that also comes in phase 7 only, no?
Yeah, after landing.
Okay. Yeah, that was not a topic. So that's why I was.
This is after landing. But as again, I would say announcement is something to do with the airline itself. So it's their SOP, whether they want to make the announcement then and there or they want it after the aircraft comes to a complete halt. It's their discretion. So that's why I did not tell you, because otherwise you will, get confused. Any other question anyone has? Any other question?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so let's start with the turbulence today. Who will tell me what is turbulence? What is turbulence as per you, guys? Guys, switch on your cameras, please, and answer me what I'm asking. What is turbulence? What do you understand by turbulence?
Maybe some in some condition when the uh, more especially in air, when the air is not proper, or we can say the pressure is not proper inside the aircraft which they need. So this creates a what we call it as hassle, or
It has nothing to do with the inside pressure, inside temperature of the aircraft. Nothing to do with that.
it's basically the outside air is not proper. Or
What do you mean by outside air?
कभी-कभी when we are on flight, if it's rainy season, कि बिजली कड़क रही है इसलिए आप अपनी कुर्सी की पेटी बांध दीजिए, something like that. So maybe that.
Okay. So it is the irregular motion of the aircraft. Irregular motion means up and down motion of the aircraft because of the atmospheric speed or wind. Okay, or maybe because of the clouds, maybe because of the rain. So it all comes under weather. So irregular motion of the aircraft, or you can say up and down motion of the aircraft because of the atmospheric wind speed. Okay, so if there are clouds and if the aircraft is flying through the clouds, then there will be a turbulence. That means it will go up and down a little bit. Okay, you will feel that the aircraft is shaking. Okay, so this is because of the weather. Understood? So it could be weather could be a reason. Weather is the actual reason, but the clouds, the winds, hailstorms, all these things are affect the aircraft. This normal flow of the aircraft. Okay, so it changes to irregular motion of the aircraft. That is what turbulence is all about. Okay, so now turbulence is of three types: light turbulence, moderate, and severe. Okay, so three types of turbulence is what? The first one is light turbulence, the second is moderate, and the third one is severe. So in light turbulence, you will feel a slight, a very slight bumpiness, and it's you can walk in the cabin whenever there is a light turbulence. So it's a very light turbulence, a very light bumpiness in the aircraft, but you are able to move in the aircraft. That means you can walk inside the aircraft, it will not harm you. So that is very light turbulence. The second one is moderate turbulence. Moderate turbulence is little bumpy. You will feel a little more bumpiness or jerks in the aircraft. So it makes it little difficult for you to walk in the cabin. Okay. And the third one is severe. Severe is that means the aircraft is going up and down very rapidly and it's impossible for you to walk in the cabin. Okay, so just write down there are three types of turbulence. First of all, write down what is turbulence. So it is an irregular motion of the aircraft. Or you can say rapid up and down motion caused by the variation of atmospheric wind speed. You want me to write it down for you?
No, ma'am.
Understood? So the light turbulence is very light bumpiness in the aircraft, and you are able to move and walk in the cabin. You can also move the cart in the cabin. Okay. The second one is moderate. In moderate, you will feel a little more bumpiness, and it will make little difficult for you to walk in the cabin or to roll out the cart in the cabin. Okay. And the third one is severe. In severe, the jerks will be very high, or you can say large abrupt changes in the aircraft altitude in a very specific manner. If you want to say, just write it down. The severe turbulence causes large abrupt changes in aircraft at altitude.
Can you repeat again, ma'am?
So causes severe turbulence causes large abrupt change. Okay, so it makes it very difficult for you to walk in the cabin or to do. It's just impossible to walk in the cabin and to do any kind of service in the cabin. Okay, so in light you can do the service. In severe, it's your choice, or it's the purser's decision that he or she wants you to do the service or don't want you to do the service. And in severe, there is no way you are doing any service. Understood? So in which type of turbulence we can do the service?
Light and moderate. Light.
And in moderate, it's up to your senior discretion or captain's decision whether he wants you to do the service or not. Because if you are serving, okay, so in turbulence, whenever there is a turbulence, you just stop the hot beverage service. In light also and in moderate also, in turbulence you will not do any hot beverage service. Anyone can tell me why we cannot do hot beverage service in turbulence, any kind of turbulence?
You might spill it on the
Ma'am, maybe because of it will spill it.
Yeah, right.
Maybe passengers can get cold.
So it will spill on the passenger. So you never know when the light turbulence will become severe turbulence or when the light turbulence change to moderate turbulence. Okay, so it might start with the light turbulence, then it becomes moderate, and then it becomes severe. But there could be a possibility it's a very light turbulence and then suddenly it becomes severe turbulence. So if you will serve the hot beverage to a passenger, the passenger might spill it on themselves and then there will be burns. Okay, and you don't want this kind of emergency on board. Okay, so you will not do any hot beverage service in turbulence, in any type of turbulence. You can do the rest of the service, you can give them food, you can give them cold drink, water, whatever they want, but no hot beverages. Okay? Also, it depends on the purser. If your purser is saying, okay, if the turbulence is very light, and if she talks to the captain and captain say, okay, it's going to be like this throughout. Okay, it will remain light turbulence for next 5-10 minutes. It's a patch they are flying through, and in this patch there will be little turbulence. If then the captain says it's your discretion, you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Then it's purser's decision that he or she wants the hot beverage to be done or not to done. Okay. If your senior is asking you to do the hot beverages, then you can do. If she's saying no, don't do it, don't do it. Okay. But if you also can tell them that because in the forward section of the aircraft the turbulence is less. In the rear of the aircraft the turbulence feels a little on a higher side. Right? That's why we say those who sit at the back or the cabin crew at the back, they will feel more turbulent than the people sitting in the front of the aircraft. So if you are working in the rear of the aircraft and if you are feeling it a little more, that if you are feeling it a little difficult for serving a hot beverage, you can ask your person that, it's a little more bumpy at the back and we cannot do the service at the back. Nobody will force you that you have to do it. Nobody will say that. Okay, so avoid doing hot beverage service in turbulence. Understood? So what is the difference between moderate and severe turbulence? Who will tell me?
I'll say in moderate we feel a little bumpiness and we can walk but we can feel the turbulence quite a bit. But in the severe condition the aircraft goes up and down very rapidly and will not be able to walk. It's quite impossible to walk in the severe one and it causes large abrupt.
Large abrupt changes in the aircraft altitude. Okay, so I'll just give you points, just write down those points. First thing for light turbulence. The first point is liquids do not splash out of cups. Done?
Yes.
Okay, now right. Service cards can be maneuvered with little difficulty.
Can you repeat again, ma'am? Service?
Service cards can be maneuvered. Just write it this much. Service cards can be maneuvered. Okay. And passengers may feel slight strain against the seat belts. Did you understand this point? Okay, just write it down. Passengers may feel slight strain against the seat belt, against their seat belts. And one more point, if there are seatbelt signs on, make sure every time the seatbelt signs come on, cabin crew will go in the cabin and check that each and every passenger has fastened their seatbelts. So it's kind of securance whenever the seatbelt sign comes on. So if it is coming for the 10th flight, you will go and check the whole cabin that the whole cabin has fastened the seatbelt. Okay? Is that clear? Okay. So passengers may feel slight strain against their seat belts. So their seat belt will feel like, okay, there is something going on because if the aircraft is moving up and down, you can feel it. Understood? So there are 3 points. First is liquids do not splash out of cups. Service cards can be maneuvered. And the third is passenger may feel slight strain against their seat belts. Okay, these are the 3 points. Then moderate turbulence. So liquids do not splash out of the cups again. It will not come out of the cup, but service cards are difficult to maneuver. The first point is same, liquids do not splash out of the cups. The second point is service cards are difficult to maneuver. The third point is difficult to walk in the cabin. The fourth point is passengers feel defined strain against their seat belts.
Define strain, ma'am. Define.
Yes, it's a defined strain this time. So the first point is liquid do not splash out of the cups. Second, the service cards are difficult to maneuver. Third is difficult to walk in the cabin. Fourth is passenger feel defined strain against their seat belts. Okay. Any doubts so far? Any doubt to anyone?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
So the third one is severe turbulence. So in severe turbulence, the first point is items fall or lift off the floor. Second one is loose items are tossed about the cabin. Just don't leave it. Don't write it down. It will make you confused. So the first is items fall or lift off the floor. The second one is impossible to walk. And the third one is passengers are forced against their seatbelts. Passengers are forced against their seatbelt. Understood, guys? 3 different types of turbulence. Any question in this one? No questions?
No.
Okay. So as soon as the seatbelt signs come on, what will be your action?
We have to go and check the cabin. The cabin is secured and everyone is fastened their seat.
Exactly. You will check every one is secured and everything is secured. They have fastened the seatbelt. Okay. If there is a severe turbulence, what will be your action?
First, we should stop serving and tell everyone that they should be they should fasten their seat belts. And then we also have to go to a place and we should check even the travel streets. If no one should be there.
Okay. So if it is severe turbulence, will you go and check the seatbelts of the passengers, have they fastened the seatbelts or not?
Yes, ma'am.
No.
The seatbelt signs are switched on now.
Seatbelt signs are on, but if it is a very severe turbulence, as I told you before, you guys are not supposed to get up from your seats when you know that you can't stand in the cabin. Okay, you might hurt yourself in that case. If it is a very severe turbulence and you can't even stand in the cabin, just make an announcement. Don't go in the cabin and don't check for the seatbelts. Now it's their problem if they are not ready to fasten the seatbelt. If they want to hurt themselves, let them do that, but you don't hurt yourself. Okay? So if it is a light turbulence or if it is a moderate turbulence, seatbelt sign comes on, go and check this passengers has fastened the seatbelt. But if it is severe turbulence, that means if you can't even stand in the cabin properly, don't go in the cabin and check check for the seatbelt signs. Just make the announcement that everybody should fasten the seatbelts and sit on your seat and fasten your seatbelt. Okay? Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Okay, who will tell me what are the causes of turbulence? I just told you, but still. What do you think are the causes of turbulence?
Changes in weather and air, wind.
Hailstorm.
So the hailstorm. The first is actually the cloud. Okay. So the causes of turbulence is clouds, thunderstorm, jet stream, wind shear. So wind shear is actually the wind which is against the aircraft. That means if the aircraft is flying on this phase, the winds are coming from the opposite side and going towards the rear of the aircraft. That means it slows down the speeds of the aircraft, one, and second, if the winds are very fast, it will create turbulence. Okay. So one thing I want to tell you also, if the aircraft is moving in this direction, let's say this, if the aircraft is moving is going in this direction, and the winds are coming from the opposite direction, the speed of the aircraft becomes slow. So if your flying time is 2 hours, it might take 2 hours 15 minutes or 2 hours 30 minutes. Okay, but if the aircraft is moving in this direction and the air is moving in this direction also, then it will fasten the speed of the aircraft. That means if you are supposed to reach in 2 hours, you probably reach in 1 hour 30 minutes. Okay, so the speed of the aircraft and the flying time also varies with the wind speed. Okay, if it is in the same direction of the aircraft is moving, then you will reach early. Okay, and the aircraft will fly a little fast. If it is in the opposite direction of the aircraft moving, then the speed of the aircraft will slow down. Okay, did you understand this thing? Okay, so wind shear is actually WIND, wind, SHEAR. So it's wind shear. What does it mean? The wind against the aircraft. It also creates turbulence if it is very fast. Okay?
Ma'am,
So
you
cloud,
thunderstorm, wind shear, and the fourth one?
jet stream.
Okay.
And one more thing, we call it CAT, C-A-T. That means clear air turbulence. So clear air turbulence is something which you can't anticipate, which you can't detect, which doesn't come on the radar, which is not there in the captain's paper. Nobody knows that there will be a turbulence there. So it's a clear air turbulence. We call it CAT, which you cannot detect. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
So clouds, thunderstorm, jet stream, wind shear, CAT. Okay? CAT is clear air turbulence. So now turbulence, I have already told you turbulence types. There are 3 types: light, moderate, severe. Okay? Now, but sometimes we can anticipate, as I told you, it's like clear air turbulence. Sometimes we anticipate that, okay, there is turbulence. Captain came to know because it's there on captain's paper. Captain read those papers before the flight, and then he will tell you that, okay, we have a weather in between and it will be like this for like 5 to 10 minutes. The patch is for 15 minutes and there will be turbulence for 15 minutes. They will give you an idea of that because they have the information. Okay. Another one is unanticipated, which you have no idea about. You don't know that there will be turbulence. Even captain doesn't know that there will be turbulence. Okay, so it's just like clear air turbulence. So most of the time they have the information of the weather of the turbulence, but if they don't, you will feel that in the flight you will feel turbulence, and then you will think, oh, captain has not told us about this thing, captain never discussed this thing. That is perfectly fine, because could be a possibility even captain doesn't know that there will be turbulence. So if you see that turbulence, captain will make the announcement, captain will switch on the seatbelt signs. So as soon as they switch off the signs, it's better you go and sit on your seats. As simple as that. Okay, so it's not all the time that captain knew that, okay, there will be turbulence, and if he has any information about turbulence, about anything, he is supposed to inform you. And if he does not inform you, that means he doesn't have the information. So you cannot blame the captain, because there are possibilities when they do not detect, or there is no signs of turbulence, but you will feel the turbulence. So once what happened is, I used to fly with Indigo in a smaller aircraft. That was Airbus A320. Okay, and a very big aircraft. We were doing the clearance in the cabin. We were in the cabin, and suddenly there was a very sharp jerk. Okay, so if the aircraft was here, it just came down here, you know, and everybody was in the cabin and doing their work. So what we did, because it was so fast, we just sat down where we were standing, because in spite of standing, we just hold on to the armrest and we sat there only, in the cabin, in the aisle, because I was holding the trash bag, my colleague was holding the trash bag, so we just sat down there only. So nobody told us that there will be turbulence and there will be like this. If anybody has the information, we're supposed to sit on our seat at that point of time. But then we went back to the captain and we asked Captain, what exactly happened? Because you never told us that there will be turbulence. Captain said, even I have no idea. Actually, what happened was, there was a very big aircraft, kind of A380, Airbus A380, which flew not just above. I mean, there was a difference. There was a distance, but I don't know what was the difference. And they just passed above us. So our aircraft is very small in front of 380, and 380 has a 4 engines, okay, and the thrust of the engine was so much that it makes our aircraft go from here till here. So it's not always weather. There could be a possibility there is aircraft, a bigger aircraft flying above you at a speed which I can't even imagine. Okay, so if they will cross you, the thrust of the engines was so much, that's why our aircraft came down a little bit. So it was just for 2-3 seconds, but it was very severe. Okay, so could be a possibility. Nobody can tell you this. Nobody will, can explain you these things, because captain never knew that at this point of time another aircraft will overtake us, right? So just be careful in the cabin. That's all I want to say. So this was unanticipated. Anticipated are those which captain already informed you about. Okay? So if it is unanticipated, if there is a light turbulence, you can do your service. Okay? If it is moderate, I would say stop all the services. Till the time it is light turbulence, you can do the service, you can take a chance. But if it becomes a little severe or it will become a little moderate, stop your services, go back to your seat and sit. Don't be a Bahubali there. Okay? Alright. So this was all about turbulence. Do you have any questions about turbulence so far? You can ask me any question, guys. Okay, so what is turbulence? Who will tell me? Who will tell me what is turbulence?
Irregular motion of aircraft.
Irregular motion of the aircraft. Okay. How many types of turbulence we have?
3 types.
What are the types?
Light turbulence, moderate turbulence.
What is light turbulence and what is moderate turbulence?
In light turbulence, there's bumpiness and we can move off there.
Okay, in light
moderate,
we can walk. Okay.
in moderate, difficult to walk in the cabin.
Okay. Little difficult to move in the cabin. And in severe?
It's impossible to walk. And the items fall.
Okay, great. Alright, you guys don't have any questions for this?
No, ma'am.
Everything is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
Yes.
I think I'll show you the video then. That is on 9/11. Do you guys know what 9/11 was actually?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened in 9/11?
They hijacked the aircraft
And what they did after that? They hijacked the aircraft. What they did after that? They had a party?
no, they followed the aircraft on that building.
Yeah.
What was exactly the name of the building?
What was the name of that building? We call it
World Trade Center.
World Trade Center, and we call it Twin Tower also. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I want you to see this video. It's and just imagine what the passengers were going through. Okay. So actually there were four aircraft which has been hijacked. Okay. Two hit the World Trade Center. The one crashed in Pentagon, and this video is regarding the fourth one. It is actually the three hijackers were there, okay, and the passengers were inside the aircraft. So these passengers, the video is all about the last aircraft, okay. Before this aircraft, two aircrafts already hit the World Trade Center, and the third one, after some time after this aircraft got hijacked, the third one, crashed in Pentagon. So this is the fourth one. So this video is all about the fourth aircraft, not the first two aircraft, because nobody knows what exactly happened in those two aircrafts, in all three aircraft before that. So because few passengers make phone calls to their loved ones, to their families, to 911, that's why they can, they were able to make a video, make a documentary out of that okay, this could be the situation in the aircraft. But in the three aircraft which has been hijacked before, nobody got any call from those aircraft, and even I thought passengers even know what exactly was going on. Okay, so this video is about the fourth hijacked aircraft, the last one. So just watch this video, and if you have any doubts, just you can ask me. Can you see this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. If you have any questions, you can write it down in the chat box, okay? I'm gonna start this.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go. Gotta go now. We're boarding the plane. Babe, I'll ring you when we get to San Francisco. I'll ring you. Yeah? Look, honey. Must go, babe. Yeah. Gotta go now. Love you, babe.
I talked to her up until she boarded the plane. That was always, though. We always were like that. She liked meeting people, but she just loved to just come home and spend time with family. But she was a beautiful person, loving, caring, wonderful mother to our kids, and a wonderful wife to me. She meant everything in the household. Sort of kind of kept everything together. She was the organizer, kept it all together. We was deeply in love. Deeply in love. That's Cece is my heart and my soul.
Hey Leroy, what about breakfast? When do you want breakfast?
When you're ready.
Okay, about maybe 30 minutes out. Okay.
4D to the left, sir. Enjoy your flight.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Mr. Burnett, 4B to the right, sir. Good morning.
He was absolutely everything I had ever wanted in a man. Tom was funny. He had an incredible sense of humor. He was highly intelligent. He had an IQ of 175. He seemed to know a little bit about everything and was just a wonderful conversationalist. He was handsome and athletic. He had great faith in God, and he loved his family. He was certainly the perfect husband for me.
Sandy was just a great flight attendant and a great person overall. She just loved it, and that's one reason she was hesitant to quit, because I kept prompting her to give it up since we had the kids. I saw her for about 15 or 20 minutes before she caught her flight to Newark. And unfortunately, we were a little bit snippy with each other because I was upset she was going to work, and she was upset that I didn't understand why she was going to work. And she said, well, I'll be home day after tomorrow. And I said, okay. And the flights to Newark were all delayed or canceled, so she sat down in Charlotte for, I think, 6 or 7 hours. And I called her every hour just saying, sweetheart, just get on a flight and come home. Just get on a flight and come home. I'll pay you the $200 you're gonna make for the trip. Just get on the flight and come home. No, no, no. She was just beautiful, friendly, outgoing, vivacious, just warm, loving. I mean, there's so much I could say about Sandy. She's a wonderful woman.
Okay, Mr. Dara. That's it. It's 1A to the right, sir. It's right here.
Zia Jara told me he was a pilot. I referred to him how kamikaze pilots would focus to be able to conquer something and not doubt themselves. Again, not knowing at the time that basically that's what he was. Kamikaze pilot. My background is 8 black belts, 4 master's degrees. At the time, I didn't realize his purpose, but I trained diligently. I trained the military, I trained police officers, and what I trained them in is how to take control, how to make a subject do what you want. And basically, this is what he was learning to do.
Okay, Mr. Gandhi, 3C to the left, sir.
Al-Haznawi.
Al-Haznawi. Yes, sir. That's 6A to the right, sir. Just along here. Have a good flight, sir.
Knowing that we got up late and that Mark had to make that 8 o'clock flight, it really was a rush. We exited off the highway into the airport complex. I pulled in the curb, the door opened, Mark jumped out of the front seat. He, gave me a quick hug and a kiss, threw the seat forward, pulled his canvas rugby bag out of the back seat, threw it over his shoulder, closed the door, gave me a quick wave, and walked through the automatic doors, and he was gone.
Hi there, Mr. Bingham. It's okay. That's fine. It's 4C to your left.
Mark was an amazing man. He truly drank from the cup of life with both hands.
I'm so glad I made it. It was a real crazy rush to get here.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mark Bingham.
Tom Burnett.
Nice to meet you.
The secret to Mark Bingham was that people were his passion. You could put him in a crowd of people and he would light it up. He was not afraid to go up to someone he did not know, a total stranger, and stick his hand out and say, "Hi, I'm Mark Bingham. How are you?" And that was the secret that he touched people's lives.
Good morning, this is Jason Dahl, your captain speaking. We have a traffic jam this morning. We are in a queue for takeoff. Please remain seated and keep your seatbelts buckled up, and we will hopefully be cleared off for takeoff shortly.
I was 13 years of age when I met Jeremy. It was just a friendship. Apparently, he had eyes on me from the beginning, and he told me later on that he knew the first time he saw me that I was going to be the one that he was going to marry. And he went home that day and told his mom that he had met the most wonderful girl and that he was going to marry her. He was very excited about the arrival of the baby. Emmy was born premature, and she was only 4 pounds when she was born.
Debbie was the purser on that flight, Flight 93. That's the head flight attendant. She absolutely adored flying. And it was so much a part of her life and part of her personality in so many ways. She really soared through life. She loved to meet people, meet all different types of people, all different cultures. She would often take food that was left over from the planes. She would pass the food out to homeless people on her way home.
It was that night of September 10th when things really came together. Mark said, "So how do we make this relationship more exclusive? So it's just us." And I just froze dead in my tracks. It's what I always wanted to hear. And it scared me. It was the words I wanted to hear. I truly was falling in love with Mark, and I wanted to be with him.
Mark told me in August of '91, when he was 21 years old, that he was gay. I was dumbfounded. I had no idea. I have to say that I was pretty ignorant about gay issues, and I was even vaguely anti-gay. And when my son, whom I loved more than anyone or anything in the world, told me that he was gay, I knew that it was time for me to re-examine my attitudes about what it means to be gay.
I think I'm not very hungry. Just running over so quickly to get here. Okay. We get much less like that. Thanks.
two, sit down! Shut up! You two, sit down! Sit down!
United 93, Cleveland, do you still hear the center?
On September 11th, I turned on the television to check the weather, and the first thing I saw was an airplane crashing into the World Trade Center. I immediately thought of Tom. The telephone rang. I looked at the caller ID and knew that it was Tom's cell phone, so I clicked over, and the first thing I said was, "Tom, you're okay," thinking he was calling from the ground.
No, I'm not. I'm on United Airlines Flight 93 from Newark to San Francisco, and the plane's been hijacked. Yes, I'm in the air. Just listen. They have a bomb on board. They've already knifed a guy. One of them has a gun. Please call the authorities.
And he hung up. I was terrified. I didn't know who to call. I thought, my goodness, who do you call for a hijacking? I reached for a phone book and started flipping through the blue pages trying to find a government official's number. And I thought, okay, I don't have time to do this. So I called 911 thinking that they could tell me who to call. And my first thought was, they're going to think I'm a lunatic. And they transferred me to a couple of different people. The fourth person was an FBI agent in Washington, D.C., and I told him the story.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is the captain. Please sit down. What was that?
The phone rang again on call waiting. I clicked over and it was Tom.
They're in the cockpit. The guy they knocked is dead. I tried to help, but I couldn't get a pulse. Yes, he's a passenger.
I then told him about both towers of the World Trade Center being hit, and he relayed that information to the people around him.
Oh my God, it's a suicide mission to hit the World Trade Center. Okay, tell me everything you can. What were the planes like that crashed into the World Trade Center? Were they commercial planes?
I told him that several airplanes were being hijacked up and down the East Coast, that they had all originated on the East Coast.
How many planes? There were definitely 2 planes. With what airlines? What time did this happen? Who are these hijackers? Where are they from? Do we know who's involved?
At one point, I asked Tom if he could tell where he was.
Wait a moment. I can't tell. I can see a field. We're turning around. We're turning back to New York. We're going back to the World Trade Center. No, wait. We're going back the other way. We're headed south. Okay, I have to go.
Aimfill! Sit down, Aimfill! Allahu Akbar! Sit down, Aimfill! Allahu Akbar!
I thought about calling him back, and I was afraid that if his telephone did ring, it would draw attention. And so I sat there holding my telephone, waiting for him to call me.
This is your captain speaking. We'd like you all to remain seated. There is a bomb on board. We are turning back to the airport. They have our demand, so please remain quiet.
Please remain seated, sir. Please remain seated. Please remain seated. Please don't panic. Please do not panic. Please remain seated.
Stay calm.
We're calling the captain. Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened.
That was that?
Get up! Move now! Get up now! Move! Get up! To the back! Move now! Move! Are you up? Up now! Go! Back! 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 Move! Back! Move! Back! Move!
Yeah. No, it's not good. There's bad men in the plane that they say they have a bomb. Let me talk to Liz, yeah? Lizzie? The hijackers have taken over a plane. They say they have a bomb, but they're gonna blow it up.
And our call was, it started at 9:37 and went to 10:03. So that's about 27 minutes on the phone. You know, we just started saying, I love you, and it was endless. You know, we just back and forth, back and forth. He was the one that actually started saying, I love you, because when I picked up the phone, I panicked. I said, oh my God, not a bomb. I think I might have screamed and, you know, and started crying, and then we just started saying it back and forth over and over again.
I love you. Love you. I 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 love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. You know I love you. I love you more than anything. I love you more. I've always loved you. You know I love you. 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 I love you so much. I know I love you. I love you. I love you too. I love you. I love you. You know I've always loved you. I was loving you from the first moment I saw you. I love you. I miss you. I love you so much. I love you.
It was just, I think, a intense pouring out of emotions. It allowed us to really kind of calm ourselves. It was so important for us to be incredibly strong for the other at that time.
I love you. I love you.
Mentally, I was strong. Physically, I can remember holding the phone because my arms were, I was shaking violently. But somehow, it's Jeremy. I love him so much. Of course, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to make this as okay as it can be in such a situation.
There's 3 of them. They're Arab looking, Iranian possibly. They've got red headbands on, and one of them is standing in the aisle. He's got a sash with a red bag around his waist. It says there's a bomb in it. He forced us to the back of the plane. I'm sitting in the last row. We don't know what's going to happen. Just heard that other hijackers have crashed planes to the World Trade Center. Is that true? Oh my God. You think that's what they're going to do to our plane, honey? Huh?
Honey, are you there? Jack, pick up, please.
Well, I was asleep. We turned the ringer on the phone off and the telephone upstairs because of the time zone differences. Be it family or friends, when it's 9 o'clock in New York and it's really 6 a.m. on the West Coast. So I never heard the phone.
Honey, are you there? Jack, pick up, please. I just wanted to tell you that I love you. We're having a little problem with the plane.
She stopped herself a couple of times when she started to say I or I'll, meaning she wanted to say I'll call you later or I will call you back. And I think she sensed that maybe that wouldn't be possible, so she stopped herself.
I just love you very, very much. I'm fine, totally fine for now. I just wanted to tell you I love you. There's just a little problem with the plane. I'm comfortable and okay for now. Just a little problem. Please tell my family I love them. Love you. Goodbye.
The first message was Lauren saying that she was catching the earlier flight, that she'll be home at such and such time, and that she looked forward to seeing me. And then the second message was the message from the airplanes. I pretty much, when I heard her second message, dropped to my knees and wailed. I knew that there was probably a good chance that her plane had either crashed or was about to crash or would be crashed. She was just so calm and courageous.
I can't believe this is happening to me. This is awful, you know. I feel so helpless, you know. They've got a bomb, we've got nothing. God, I don't want to die. I've got so much to live for.
And then he said he thought he was going to die, and he didn't think he was going to make it off the plane.
You know, I pray I can come home and see you and Emmy. You know, I pray this works out okay. I'm not hopeful, you know. I don't think I'm gonna make it out of here. We gotta face up to it. If anything happens to me, I need you to be happy, okay?
You know, he's just telling me to be happy for the rest of my life. And if he didn't make it, he needed Emerson and I to be happy in our lives, that the most important thing was for my happiness, and that he would respect any decisions that I made going forward in life, and to let Emerson know how much he loved her. And, and I was not thinking about that something bad was going to happen to him. So, you know, I said, nothing bad's going to happen. You have to be strong. I said, you know, be brave, put a picture of Emmy and I in your head, and just pray.
Verizon Airphone, this is Terry. How may I help you?
Yeah. Hello. We've been hijacked.
I'm the supervisor over the call center. When I took over the call, and I said, I understand your plane is being hijacked. Could you give me detailed information as to what's happening?
Yes. We've been hijacked. 3 people have seized the plane.
And told me his name was Todd Beamer. I asked him if there were any children on that flight. He told me none that he could see. I asked him if anyone was hurt.
There are 2 people lying down in first class on the floor. I can't tell if they're dead or alive. A flight attendant's next to me. I'll ask her. Who the 2 bodies?
This guy told me that he thinks it's the pilot and the co-pilot.
He seems to think the pilot and the co-pilot are the ones that are on the floor. Some of the people on the plane think that they're going to intentionally crash it into the ground. Do you know anything about anything that's been happening?
And I told him I didn't know. But from the people standing behind me, I can hear exactly what was going on. We knew that they were suicidal attempts and they were taking these planes down on purpose. But I didn't want him to get upset at all, so I didn't give him that information. He was very calm. He made me even doubt if this was a real life hijacking situation. He was very calm. But the more we talked, I knew it was for real. The plane started to fly erratic. You can tell he was excited in his voice. And he said, "We're going down. We're going down.
We're going down. We're going down. No, wait. No. Hold on. No, wait. We're turning around. We're turning around. Oh, Jesus help us. I think we're okay now, yeah. We're okay now, yes, we're okay.
And I asked him if he wanted to speak to his wife, if he wanted me to connect him.
No, I can't. I mustn't stress her out. She's pregnant. And she's going to have our third baby in January.
But for any reason, if he didn't make it off that plane, would I call her and let her know and his family how much he loved them? And I told him I would.
Mom? It's Mark Bingham. I just want to tell you that I love you.
I could tell from that he was working to keep composure and calmness in his voice and being businesslike, and had sort of lost track of the fact that he was talking to his mom for a second. But he knew that he was in dire straits, and he was making a call essentially to say goodbye. And he said, "I just want to tell you that I love you. I'm on a flight from Newark to San Francisco, and there are 3 guys who've taken over the plane, and they say they have a bomb."
You believe me, don't you, Mom?
And I said, "Yes, Mark, I believe you. Who are those guys?" I asked the question again, and I didn't get a response from him. The airphone was disconnected. In some ways, I'm grateful that I didn't have more time to speak to my son on the phone, because the last thing that he would have needed was a big emotional load of fear and uncertainty on the part of his mother.
I was watching the television, and they reported another plane crash. They didn't say the flight number, and I just immediately thought it was Tom's plane. And I just began to cry, wailing, thinking that it was his, and realized that I was frightening the children. And so I began to try to get control of myself. And as I was trying to gather my emotions, the telephone rang again. It was Tom's 3rd phone call. And so my first thought was, he survived the plane crash. And I was so glad. I said, "Tom, you're okay." And he said, "No, I'm not."
No, I'm not.
And I said, "They just hit the Pentagon."
That's unbelievable. They've just crashed a plane into the Pentagon. Can you imagine?
Jeez.
Okay, I need details. Who's behind it? What do they want? What airlines are involved? How many have crashed? What's the likelihood of them having a bomb on board? No, I don't think they have, and I think they're just telling us that.
I did tell him, based on my experience as a flight attendant and training as a flight attendant, that an airplane could survive a bomb blast if the bomb was in the correct place on the airplane. He didn't seem to be very interested. He was concerned mostly with their taking back the airplane.
We're gonna have to do something. They're talking about crashing the plane into the ground.
We're gonna have to do something.
I'm putting a plan together to take the plane back from the hijack.
I asked who was helping him, and he said a lot of people.
Different people. Several people. There's a group of us. We're gonna
think about this.
We're gonna do something.
Something's gonna happen.
He told me not to worry. I was very worried. But he was also very good at instilling in me the confidence that he had everything under control. I knew that Tom could do anything, and I really believed that morning that he was capable of handling the situation aboard that plane. I thought he would be home that night. I expected him to be home that night. And more importantly, he expected to be home that night.
Kiss and I'll see you again. Mom?
Oh, look, baby, it's me. Our plane has been hijacked. It's flight 93. There are 3 hijackers with knives. At least 2 people have been killed. These guys are Arab looking. I love you, babe. You tell the kids I love them too. I love you. I pray the Lord God protects us all. And I hope I see your face again.
And my will is in my safe, and my safe is in my closet. And if you go in there, the combination is 633663. And I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to say this to you again in person. I hope so. But I really love you, Els. And I'm really going to miss you.
We'll be towards it.
Goodbye.
I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean nothing left? I mean, there's gotta be something left. They can't have demolished the whole World Trade Center.
I hesitated for a minute before I told him, but, you know, I really trusted him. I trusted his strength. It was valuable information for him to have, you know, to be able to make a decision. You know, most times a hijacking, they land the plane or they blow it up. And this was a completely different type of hijacking.
You must call your people.
Okay.
Remember, it's going to be harder on them than it will be on us.
Then I heard an announcer say on the television that a small bomb had gone off at the Pentagon. And I just knew it was something huge and horrible. And the call was coming in, and it was Elizabeth.
Hi, Mom. We're being hijacked, and I'm calling to tell you that I love you and say goodbye.
It was a horrifying moment. Fortunately, I had been watching on that little TV, so I had some mental preparation. And I was able to be unselfish instead of just crying and thinking about myself and, you know, wanting to cling to her. I was able to love her, you know, and help her become peaceful with the inevitable. The only way I could tell she was agitated is she had shallow breathing at the beginning of the phone call. It was real short and choppy, and I wanted to help calm her down. And so I said, look, Elizabeth, I've got my arms around you, and I love you. Let's just be together here.
I can feel your arms around me. And I love you too.
So I said, let's just look out the window at the beautiful blue sky and take some deep breaths together. And we did, and it was amazing because within just a few breaths she was calm. And so we were together, and a lot of the time we were quiet. And it was just peaceful between us. No crying, no hysteria, no yelling.
Gosh, I'm not even talking. This really wonderful woman sitting next to me gave me the phone and said to call home. Do you know what's happening?
I said no because I felt the only way I could be calm and be the best mother I could be was to say no. And I felt like if it was important for her to discuss it with me, she would still go ahead and discuss it. But I just didn't want it to be about me. I wanted it to be unselfish. And I knew I would end up being a crying, clinging mama.
Mom, it hurts me that this is going to be harder on you all than it is on me.
And I think that's a perfect example of Elizabeth's unselfishness, that in the midst of all of that, she could be thinking about the impact of it on us.
Give my love to Tom and Sarah. I don't know how they're going to cope. Tell them that I love them. I know Omi and Grandmom are waiting for me.
And that was the beautiful thing she did say. She called my mother Omi and Ben's mother Grandmom, and she said that she knew Omi and Grandmom were waiting for her. And they both were dead. It made me feel clear that she was really going through a transformation while we were on the phone. I just feel like she was really releasing her life and going to wherever she had to go. And again, we were quiet.
It's okay, it's okay. They've left us in the back. And, well, the guy with the bomb is up front. There's nobody really back here.
Everyone was calm until the plane started to take a dive and fly erratic. And you can hear a lot of commotion, an awful lot of commotion. You can tell the difference when someone is screaming for their life. And that's what I felt. They were screaming for their lives. I could hear that. I could hear the screams, the crying, the hollering. Total commotion. That was the worst part of my entire conversation with him, was hearing the commotion of those passengers. I hear their voices. Often. Something I'll never forget.
Have you heard what's going on? Bill? My flight's just been hijacked by 3 guys with knives.
I'm like, what? She said, yeah, my flight's just been hijacked by 3 guys with knives.
I saw one of them sitting in the last row, first class. They've got red bandanas on their head and they're Islamic-looking people. We're in the back galley here, boiling water ready to throw on them. Do you have any ideas? Do you have any ideas to help us?
And I was like stunned. I couldn't believe it. And I said, I can't think of anything, sweetheart.
It's flight 93 to San Francisco. We were delayed. We didn't leave until about 8:40. Well, they just herded all of us to the back, and there's a few people still left in first class. I just wish I'd listened to you and not taken this flag. No, I don't have any idea where we are, where we're headed. Wait, there's the sun's in front of us, and I can see a river beneath us. I don't know who's flying the plane because we're all right at the back, but there's a bunch of us getting ready to run up front and do something.
The fourth phone call came in about 5-6 minutes before the top of the hour. He was very quiet, very solemn. I couldn't hear anything in the background. It sounded like a routine flight. I could hear only the engines of the airplane.
Is there anything else you could tell us? Anything? We're gonna take them on. We're gonna do something. We're waiting till we're over a rural area, and then we're gonna take back the airplane. I think we can do it. Don't worry, we're gonna do something.
It frightened me terribly, and I pretty much yelled into the telephone for him to sit down, be still and be quiet and not draw attention to himself. And he yelled back and he said no.
No, we're gonna have to do something.
The words that I said to him were the exact words that had been drilled into me in flight attendant training years prior. And when they came out of my mouth, I immediately knew it was the wrong thing to say. And then, of course, to have him yell back at me, I really knew it was the wrong thing to say. But I couldn't help it. I was so afraid for him. And I wanted to help. And that's what I had been told, so I wanted to pass it on. But I am so very glad he did not take my advice. He rarely did. I told him that I had called the authorities, and he said, I don't know what they could do.
It's up to us now. I think we can do it. How are the children? Are they okay?
I told him that the children wanted to talk to him.
Tell him I'll talk to them later.
I told him about his parents, that they knew his plane had been hijacked. And he scolded me.
Well, you shouldn't have worried my parents. How are they doing?
I told him that I loved him and asked if there was anything else I could do. He said, pray, Dina. Just pray. He did not expect to die on that airplane. He was not saying goodbye. He was not talking about death. He was not reviewing his life. He was formulating a plan. And he was coming home.
Babe, listen. My plane has been hijacked.
I just answered the phone, like I normally do. Hello, babe, how you doing? And she said, babe, you need to listen. My plane has been hijacked, and I said, stop joking.
No, it's not a joke. I'm not joking. You need to listen. And my plane has been hijacked. And I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm calling to tell you that I love you. And I want you to tell the boys that I love them. Because I don't know if I'm gonna see your face again.
And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know you'll see our face again? I said, at that point, I didn't know. I asked her what it means. She said, just listen. She said, I love you. She just went on expressing her love for me and her love for the kids.
I love you. And you made me so happy. I love you. And I just tell him I love him. Just tell him I love him.
No guns, no. Not what we've seen any now, no. Certainly no machine guns, just knives. I don't know how these guys get on board with what they have. They're smaller than many of us. Maybe we can get some pretty heavy guys here. Think it's gonna just... You think it's a good idea? Should we risk it? I mean, what do you think? Should we give it a go?
I hesitated for a minute. You know, I remember thinking in my mind, say I give him the wrong information and, you know, it causes him to die or something like that. And there really wasn't a lot of time. You know, there really wasn't another option after seeing what I had seen in New York. And then finally, I think I said, honey, you need to do it.
Always got my plastic butternut for breakfast, huh?
Look, please. Do you mind? Would you help me? Will you say the Lord's Prayer with me?
But I didn't hesitate to recite it with him.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done.
We recited it word for word.
Give us this day our daily bread.
We did it in a calm voice. We did it together, very calmly. And I think that just gave him the strength, because after that, that's when he told me that he's going out on his faith and they're going to jump the guy with the bomb. I told him I would stand behind him. That's what he chose to do.
Phil, be sure to raise the kids right. And tell them I love them. Give them a big hug from me. Well, hopefully I will be back soon, love, but...
And I told her not to worry. We'd take care of everything. She'd be okay.
Just remember, I love you, and I've been so happy with you. I love you too.
They're getting ready to break into the cockpit. I have to go. I love you. Goodbye.
It was excruciating. I think, you know, mother feels like you're supposed to be able to keep your children safe. I could love her, but I couldn't keep her safe.
Trying to jump the hijacker with a bomb. I'm taking a vote. You guys gonna do it? Yeah? All of us? Yeah? Yes. Well, we should do it now then. I'm gonna give it a shot. Listen, I'm gonna leave the phone right here, yeah? I'll be right back. I love you.
So Jeremy said his goodbyes to Liz, and at the end she said, he said he'll be back, you take the phone, and she couldn't listen anymore. So I took the phone, and it was probably 45 seconds of silence.
Oh God, please help us. Help us. I love you, I love you, I love you.
Then we said a prayer, and then I can just hear the commotion in the background. I can hear the passengers screaming, and she was just, and at that point she was saying they're getting ready to do it.
They're getting ready to do it, baby.
of screams, kind of like a roller coaster, diving. I mean, just a mass of people with a scream. And I presumed at that point that there was some type of struggle going on, and it was, as if the plane was diving or turning or flipping.
No! Come on! The plane's going down! Look at it!
I can just hear the boom, boom. I can hear the bamming. I can hear that part, and I can hear guys, I can hear guys' voices and, just excitedly, like a confrontation.
I'm hoping that Jeremy or someone's going to come back and say, we got them or something.
And I just heard me and her. And besides the screaming that I heard, and then she screamed and we got disconnected because that was the last thing I've heard.
That's when there was this second set of screams, which probably occurred seconds before the plane crashed. Then nothing. At the time, it was kind of so terrible I didn't want to share it. I mean, I still hear the noise every now and then. So it's not something that I talk about a lot.
They did what they had to do to make sure that that plane didn't reach its destination. Brave, very brave. And I commend each and every last one of them are heroes.
What happened. I can remember the feeling, I can remember the windows, I can remember the sun coming through the windows, I can remember the unmade bed, I can remember his smell, I can remember his genitals.
He made me feel that I was special and that I was different from other children in school. That he'd singled me out to spend time with me. I didn't know whether it was right or wrong. He was telling me that it was great, that I was lucky, but...
But they don't have any trace of that, and there is no documentary on that as well. Because in this aircraft, they had enough of time, they made the calls and they did all those things. So that's how the people on ground came to know that, or they can imagine that what is the situation in there and what's going on. But nobody got any call from the first or the second hijack which happened. So they have no clue what exactly happened inside the aircraft. But I'm sure it's a bit scary. Alright, any questions you want to ask?
What exactly then we should do, ma'am? Like just follow their instructions
in such situation. In hijacking situation, and especially in this kind of thing when you are in the aircraft and hijackers are the pilots. They can do whatever they want to do. You can't do anything in this situation. I mean, this is the worst situation or worst thing ever happened in aviation because the hijackers, they wanted to, they worked as a human missile. So they just took the aircraft and they were ready to die them I mean, they knew as soon as they entered the aircraft, they knew that they are gonna die. And they are very okay with that. So when the hijacker can, fly the plane, and they don't need the pilot, they don't need the first officer, and you are in that aircraft. Imagine you don't know how to fly the aircraft. You just can't do anything. The passengers, they knew that they are gonna die. There is no chance that they can survive because nobody knows how to fly an airplane. So the lady who was talking to the guy over the phone from the security, there could be a possibility if the captain or the first officer alive, they can manipulate them because they know how to fly there. They can take it Bandhar incidents. So the captain used their brain and landed the aircraft here and there and whatever. But that was a different scenario. In this scenario, the hijackers themselves want to. They knew that they are going to die, and they are ready for that. So you can't do anything in that case. But actually, this aircraft, which I heard that this aircraft, the last one, it's supposed to they wanted to crash this on White House, but because of the passengers and they took the charge, they crashed it somewhere else, not on the White House. So imagine about the bravery of the passengers also. I mean, they knew that they are gonna die, but still they took this step. So yeah, that is what happened. But there is no video of the first two crashes. And have you seen, let me show you, have you seen the live video of this 9/11 incident? It's a very short video.
Through the windows, I can remember.
This week is traditionally the peak of hurricane season. We're doing a series of reports we call the Eye of the Storm. Today, evacuation gridlock. We'll start with CNN's John Zarella, who's in the Florida Keys live this morning. John is with us. Good morning, John.
Morning, Vince. Let me tell you, emergency managers and hurricane forecasters will always tell you you can run from the water and you can hide from the wind. That means you've got to get out of the way for storm surge, but you can usually hide from the wind.
I'm Amanda Lang at the New York Stock Exchange, where we could be in for a solid open to the trading day. Stock index futures point to some buying for the broader market and for techs. One sector that could provide a boost, wireless stocks. Nokia is saying it expects to meet earnings targets for the current quarter, but the world's largest mobile phone maker is warning that third quarter sales will be about 5% below the year-ago level.
This just in, you are looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center. CNN Center right now is just beginning to work on this story, obviously calling our sources and trying to figure out exactly what happened, but clearly something relatively devastating happening this morning there in the south end of the island of Manhattan. That is, once again, a picture of one of the towers of the World Trade Center.
When you can see these pictures, it's obviously something devastating has happened. And again, unconfirmed report that a plane has crashed into one of the towers there. We are efforting more information on this subject as it becomes available to you.
Right now, we've got Sean Murtaugh. He is a CNN producer on the telephone right now. Sean, what can you tell us about what you know?
This is Sean Murtaugh. I just was standing on the Vice President of Finance.
Sean,
Vice President of Finance for CNN.
Sean, we're on the air right now. What can you tell us about this situation?
Hello?
Yes, Sean, you're on the air right now. Go ahead. What can you tell us?
I just witnessed a plane that appeared to be cruising slightly lower than normal altitude over New York City, and it appears to have crashed into, I don't know which tower it is, but it hit directly in the middle of one of the World Trade Center towers.
Sean, what kind of plane? Was it a small plane, a jet?
It was a jet. Looked like a two-engine jet, maybe a 737.
You're talking about a large passenger commercial
Large
jet.
passenger commercial jet.
And where were you when you saw this?
I am on the 21st floor of 510 Plaza.
Did it appear that the plane was having any difficulty flying?
Yes, it did. It was teetering back and forth, wingtip to wingtip, and it looks like it has crashed into probably 20 stories from the top of the World Trade Center, maybe the 80th to 85th floor. There is smoke billowing out of the World Trade Center.
Sean, what happened next? Does it appear to you that the plane is still inside the World Trade Center?
From my angle, I'm viewing south towards the Statue of Liberty and towards the World Trade Center. It looks like it is embedded in the building. I can't see from my vantage point whether it has come out the other side.
Sean, what about on the ground? Or any debris that has hit down there? Can you see
my
anything?
vantage point is too far from the World Trade Center to make any determination of that.
Did you see any smoke, any flames coming out of the engines of that plane?
No, I did not. The plane just was coming in low, and the wingtips tilted back and forth, and then it flattened out. It looks like it's hit at a slight angle into the World Trade Center. I can see flames now coming out the side of the building, and smoke continues to billow.
Generally, is that a traffic area in New York for aircraft?
It is not a normal flight pattern. I'm a frequent traveler between Atlanta and New York for business, and it is not a normal flight pattern to come directly over Manhattan. Usually they come up either over the Hudson River heading north and pass alongside the island of Manhattan, or if they're taking off from LaGuardia, they usually take off over Shea Stadium and gain altitude around the island of Manhattan. It's rare that you have a jet crossing directly over the island of Manhattan.
Just for our viewers who are just tuning in right now, you're looking at a live picture of the World Trade Center tower where, according to eyewitness Sean Murtaugh, he is a vice president of finance, an eyewitness to what he describes as a twin-engine plane or possibly a 737 passenger jet flying into the World Trade Center. It appears to be still embedded inside the building. Sean, are you in a position right now to hear whether any sirens are going, any ambulances, any sort of response to this yet?
Not from my vantage point. I'm probably 1.5 miles, 2 miles from the World Trade Center.
It is a remarkable scene, as we're seeing right now. Flames still coming out of the windows, black smoke billowing from what appears to be all sides. Obviously, windows shattered and steel jutting out from the structure
and
right
Sean,
now.
once again, we're looking at these pictures. And
I
you're
see them in
telling
my
us,
office. I have them on all my TVs.
And you're telling us you believe the plane is still remains embedded.
I can't tell from my vantage point.
Sean, thank you so much for your eyewitness account there. Right now, we want to go to our affiliate NYW, reporting on this as we speak.
Little girl in his arms. Did you see what happened, sir? Did you see what happened? What happened?
Well, I was in the past train, and there was a huge explosion sound. Everyone came out. A large section of the building is blown out, around like the 80th floor.
Was it hit by something, or was it something inside?
It was inside. Because it looked out, everything was coming out. All the windows were coming out, all the papers were
What is on the sidewalk?
I didn't see anything.
Was there any people hurt, do you know?
I just ran, and everyone in the past train just ran. I don't know if anyone was hurt, but I assume they were because the windows were all blown out.
An eyewitness on the telephone right now. Jean, what can you tell us about what you saw?
I can tell you that I was watching TV, and there was this sonic boom, and the TV went out, and thought maybe that the Concorde was back in service, because I've heard about those sonic booms, and I got up to my window. I live in Battery Park City, right next to the Twin Towers, and I looked up, and the side of the World Trade Center exploded right when I looked up, and at that point, debris started falling. I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Can you hear anything from your position right now? Ambulances, sirens?
Absolutely, positively. There are crowds of people downstairs in Battery Park City. Everybody's come out from the buildings. This is the financial area in Manhattan, and there's a lot of fire engines. I can see them from my window.
Jean, can you tell us, I don't know if you can tell which tower it is that's on fire right now, or the kinds of services that are inside that tower?
I can't tell what's inside. It's the northern tower versus the southern tower, and it seems to be on all sides of the building. From what I can tell, the west side, the south side, and it looks like smoke's coming from the east side as well.
Gene, can you see any of the debris currently on the ground area?
Absolutely. I mean, it's continuing to kind of flutter down like leaflets, and at first there was just tons of debris, and it continues to fall out, and it looks like these uppermost floors are definitely on fire.
Can you see any actual people in that area who may have been hit by any of this debris or were not able to get out of the way? Can you see any crowds that may be too close to where they should be? Anything like that?
No, I don't think so, and it's not a highly trafficked area at the base of the World Trade Center, so that's one fortunate thing.
Gene, right now we're continuing to look at pictures of this devastating scene. According to Sean Murtaugh, Vice President of Finance, he witnessed what he described as a twin-engine plane, possibly a 737. He was almost absolutely sure that it was a large passenger jet that went into that plane. Gene, you're saying that you didn't see anything initially. You didn't see a plane actually approach the building.
I had no idea it was a plane. I just saw the entire top part of the World Trade Center explode. So I turned on the TV when I heard they said it was a plane. It was really strange.
Were you there living in New York during the World Trade Center bombing?
No, I wasn't.
Fortunately so. When you say a sonic boom, did you actually feel anything? Were things shaking in your apartment?
Yeah, you could feel it. It was just a gigantic sonic boom. The TV it went off for a second and then it went back on. And the windows, you felt the vibrations on the windows.
You were saying it's not a high traffic area usually, but can you guesstimate how many people may be in an area like that at this hour of the morning?
It would be hard to say. There is a huge courtyard between the two World Trade Center buildings, and the only issue might have been tourists or business people out in this courtyard area, and they possibly would have been hit. But the people that are immediately around the base of the World Trade Center, I would say at any given time, you're talking about maybe 20 or 30 people at best.
We were talking with Sean Murtaugh earlier, and he said this is not normally an area where you would see some sort of aircraft, certainly, obviously, that low, but that is not a high traffic area in terms of flights?
I don't know about flights. I have a balcony down here in Battery Park City, and they have that needle sticking out of the top of the World Trade Center. And I've always wondered, if anyone would kind of get too close to the building, and accidentally veer into it.
Gene, tell us a little bit about that area and how emergency crews would be able to access that area. Would that be relatively difficult or easy to access for emergency people?
I would imagine it would be slightly difficult because to get around the base of the World Trade Center building, there's really only the one street entrance. The other sides of the building are surrounded by other buildings in the courtyard. And so it's just this west side highway, this one major street that runs up the west side of Manhattan that makes it accessible for the fire engines. And, it's amazing to sit here and watch this building on fire, and you've got this tiny little fire engine that I'm watching.
That's all you see right now is the one fire engine?
Where the fire engines are, it's a little bit obscured by other buildings.
Right.
Gene, let me ask you, I know I'm asking you to be a bit of an expert on the World Trade Center, but there's a famous viewing deck for tourists on one of the towers. When you say that this is the North Tower, is this the one that services a lot of the tourists to get their view and get to the restaurant at the top?
As a matter of fact, it is. And as I'm sure you can see, there's a ton of smoke coming out right now. I'm just guessing the fire seems to be worse on, it looks like it's about 15 floors down from the top of the building.
Yeah, one of the eyewitnesses, one of our affiliates, was talking to, said that she thought that this was on the 80th floor. We know that there's an open air deck 110 stories high, and the glass enclosed observatory is on the 107th floor. So there is the possibility that people may very well be trapped up there.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Jean Yearman.
You're very welcome.
Eyewitness here to a loud sonic boom she described as she was sitting inside her apartment, and she looked up and saw the side of the World Trade Center exploded into flames and black smoke.
As the anniversary of 9/11 approaches, hours of audio recordings have been released revealing minute by minute the reaction of air traffic controllers as the attacks unfolded. The voice of one of the hijackers can also be heard on the recordings.
American Airlines emergency line, please state your emergency.
The recordings start at 8:13 local time.
The next voice you will hear is that of the hijacker, Mohammed Atta.
Nobody move. Everything will be okay. If you try to make any move, you'll injure yourself and the airplane. Just stay quiet. Anybody know what that smoke is in Lower Manhattan? I'm sorry, say again? A lot of smoke in Lower Manhattan. Coming out of the top of the World Trade Center building, a major fire. Yeah.
At this stage, air traffic controllers were still unaware of the approach of a second plane.
Can you look out your window right now? Yeah. Can you see a guy at about 4,000 feet, about 5 east of the airport right now? Looks like he's...
Yeah, I see him.
You see a guy, look, is he descending for the building also?
He's descending really quick too, yeah.
Well, that's
2,500 feet now. He just dropped 800 feet in like one sweep.
That's another situation.
Another one just hit the building.
Wow. Wow. Another one hit it hard. Another one just hit the World Trade.
The whole building just came apart.
Holy smokes. All right, I guess you guys can be busy.
At the Cleveland Control Center, there was a problem with another aircraft.
You have United 93 south of Shark. We hear some funny noises. We're trying to get him. Do you have him? No.
The cockpit voice recordings from United 93 have not been released out of deference to the families of the passengers who stormed the cockpit. Kathleen McMahon, RTE News.
Oh, all right. Did you see that? Any questions, anything you want to ask? Switch on your cameras, please. Any question do you guys have? No? Shall we call it off then? Alright guys, just revise the turbulence topic, and if you have any question you can ask me tomorrow, or if you have any questions on anything you can ask me tomorrow. So we'll call it off for today, okay? Alright, have a good evening, enjoy. Bye bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a great day. Thank you, ma'am. Alright.